Hi, I'm Lewis Quayle, data scientist, bioinformatician, and maintainer of lewisdoesdata.com, which is my website where I blog data science related tutorials and guided data analyses. Today I'm going to show a quick tutorial for how to undertake a pull request using Git and GitHub. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you make a pull request is to navigate to a GitHub repository that you want to contribute to. In this case, I'm going to show making a pull request using the nfcore configs GitHub repository, which houses a series of configurations for running high-performance computing pipelines for bioinformatic data analysis on high-performance computing infrastructure. The first thing to do once you're in the repository that you want to contribute to is to actually fork the repository. So to do that, we go over to this fork button in the upper right-hand corner, and if you click the drop-down box, you'll see an option for creating a new fork. And if we click that, we're brought to this fork creation page where you can name the repository. I'm just going to leave it named configs. And then once you're happy with that, you can then click this green create fork button, and that will actually fork the repository into your GitHub account. So after a few seconds, you'll have a fork of the repository that you want to contribute to as one of your repositories on your account. So the next thing to do will be to actually clone this repository to your local machine. So to do that, we go to the green code button in the top right hand corner here, clicking that, and then we make sure that we've clicked the SSH option, and then we copy the URL, the SSH URL, which will then enable us to clone the contents of this entire repository to our own machine. And in order to do that, we're going to need to switch to either the terminal or Git Bash for Windows users. So now that we have our terminal open, the first thing to do is to navigate to the directory where you want to actually clone your repository into. So in my case, I'm going to change to the downloads folder within my home directory. And then we can clone the repository using the git command clone. So we type git clone, and then we'll paste the URL that we took from GitHub, and then hit return. And after a few seconds, that will copy the information that's contained within that repository down to our local machine. So now that we've cloned our repository, we need to first change into it. So we can do that using the cd command. And then the next thing to do is create a new branch and switch to that branch. And you can do that in one command with the git checkout command. We use the B flag, and then we give our new branch a name. So we can now see that Git has told us that it's created and switched us onto this new branch that we've created called demo branch. So the next thing to do would be to actually undertake work on the files within your repository. So in order to demonstrate the remainder of the workflow, I'm just going to remove a file called readme.md, and that will mean that I now have some changes within the Git repository to be able to then stage and commit. So once you've been working on your files for a little while, you'll have changes, you'll stage them with the git add command, and then periodically you might commit those changes. So I'll show that quickly. So we'd say git add, and then in this case all changes, and then we would commit that to the Git repository history with the git commit command. And then we would use the M flag to add a message, and we would write a meaningful commit message. So in this case, I'm going to say deleted readme.md, so that anybody else looking at the repository history can tell what's been done at that specific commit. So I would add that. So now that change, that deletion of the readme.md has been added to the Git repository history or the log. And we could see that if we run git log and then the n flag to get just the last, say, 2 commits, and we can see there that the last commit at the head of the demo branch is this commit where I've deleted the readme.md file. So once you've done working on your files and you've been adding them to the staging area and committing those changes once you're happy with them, the next thing to do would be actually to push those changes to the branch within your remote repository. So we can do that using the git push command. So we say git push with the U flag origin, and then in this case we're going to push it to the demo branch that we have created. So we can run that, and that will then re-upload the new branch with those changes that we've made to the file back to GitHub, which is where we'll be headed now. So now that we're back on GitHub, we can see that within the repository, the configs repository that I initially cloned, we now have this message that says that the demo branch has had recent pushes, and this compare and pull request button has appeared, which enables us to initiate a pull request. So if we go ahead and click on that, this is the pull request creation page. And the important thing to check here is that our the pull request that we're making is the correct repository and branch, and that's targeting the correct repository, and in this case the master or main branch. So then you can go ahead and give your pull request a title, and in this case NF Core have a specific checklist of documentation to create a pull request with, but you would usually fill this in with meaningful information outlining the changes that your contribution and that your pull requests contain. So once you've done that and you're happy with everything on this page, go ahead and click this create pull request green button at the bottom corner, and that's it, job done. The next thing to do is just to wait while the pull request is reviewed. The owners of the repository might have some comments or some additional changes that they want you to address, so you would do that in exactly the same way by making those changes in your local repository and pushing them to the branch for which the pull request was made. And then once they're happy with the pull request, they would then merge that into the main branch or the branch which you were targeting. And then the last thing to do would just be to clean up. So after that, you can delete both your branch and, if you want to, also delete your fork. So that's how to undertake pull requests with GitHub. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and subscribe if you found this tutorial useful, and I'll catch you again soon.